let's get to cooking. This is what we're doing today at Memaw's house. Hey y'all, welcome back to Memaw's house. You see I have my handy dandy apron on and it is time to cook. I'm going to cook some pasta. Now my family likes a good pasta bake, so we call this one Memaw's pasta bake because it has rigatoni in it. The children like that. And it has the regular stuff like lasagna, except for it does not have a spaghetti sauce. It has a marinara sauce, and I'll make a quick marinara sauce to put in it. So let's go ahead and get this done, and we'll get to cooking. Here are the ingredients that we'll be using for Memaw's pasta bake. 1 pound of ground beef, 1 onion, a green pepper, garlic, Italian seasoning, salt and pepper to taste, cottage cheese, mozzarella cheese, a 20-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, 1 to 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and rigatoni noodles. And we'll cook that right now in some boiling water. Of course, I've salted my water, and when it gets to boiling, you can put your rigatoni in. I've only used about half of this pack because they do swell up pretty good, and they make for a good hearty pasta in a dish. So we'll go ahead and let this cook per the package instructions. I usually let it cook about 8 minutes because it's going to bake a little bit more once we put it into the oven. Now that that's cooking, let's go ahead and cut up our onions and green pepper. Now that we have our veggies all chopped up, we'll go ahead and prepare our heavy bottom skillet with a little bit of olive oil so that we can go ahead and saute these vegetables. Now that we have our green pepper and onion in there, let's go ahead and add our garlic. And we'll stir fry these and saute these for a few minutes. Now I'm adding some pink Himalayan salt to help sweat these veggies down a bit. So let's talk a little bit about salt. There are many different types of salt that we use to cook with, and like I said, I'm using a pink Himalayan salt, but there is sea salt, kosher salt, pickling salt, iodized salt, just to name a few. Salt adds flavor to food, and it is a necessary nutrient for our health. Salt is important for muscle contractions, but too much of it can impact our blood pressure. So it's important to be careful with your salt intake. I use pink Himalayan salt because it not only contains sodium, which is important, but it also contains other trace minerals that benefit our health. Now that's my 2 cents on salt, and you can take that with a grain of salt. Now that our veggies have cooked down a bit, we're going to go ahead and add our ground beef. Now it'll take a few minutes for this ground beef to brown, and I'm going to break it up as I get it to brown and saute it. So while I'm doing that, I want to thank you all for being subscribers, for always coming back and enjoying my videos, taking the time out of your day to spend some time with me. So if you have not subscribed, please feel free to do so. We would love to have you over here at Memaw's house to hang out with us and cook with us. So hit the subscribe button down below, and if you're not getting the messages that I have a new video up, please hit that notification button. That'll help too. And your comments always help a whole lot with my algorithm. Y'all know about algorithms in YouTube world. So I thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. So now, while my ground beef is browning, I'm gonna go ahead and add my Italian seasoning so that can get melded into and taste fabulous within that ground beef. Okay, the pasta has cooked long enough. I'm going to go ahead and take that to the sink and drain it, and we'll be right back to get the rest of this meal completed. Now I'm rinsing off my pasta over at the sink, but I have everything ready to get my marinara sauce done. So let's go ahead and wipe these cans off, because you know the cans can be nasty. Let's wipe them off and get them opened so that we can start our sauce. Now we've seasoned our sauce, but I think I want a little bit of heat to this sauce, so I'm going to add a little bit of red pepper flake, not a lot, but just enough to bring a little bit of heat. And you know the tomatoes can be very, very acidic. So I use a big pinch of sugar to take some of that acidity out and the bite off that tomato. Now, for the most part, the sauce is done. I want it to simmer for a little bit so that all of those flavorings can get melded together and become one fabulous sauce. I'll let that simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my cheese grated. I'm grating the cheese so that it can be ready to sprinkle onto our dish when it is time to go into the oven. Now, you know, I've talked to you about me grating cheese before, and you can grate cheese with your grater like I am, a handheld grater, or sometimes I go ahead and use my food processor. I just didn't feel like doing all that pulling out the food processor this time. But if you have a lot of cheese to grate and you have that food processor, go ahead and use it. Now, I don't generally like to use the pre-grated cheese that's in the packages, but I will. I don't like the citric acid or whatever the preservative is that they use on that to keep it from sticking together. So we have pretty much everything together. I'm going to go ahead and prepare my pan. The only thing we have left to do is to prepare our cottage cheese topping. But in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and get our pasta in the pan, in our greased dish, and we'll put our sauce on top of that, get those pastas nestled in, and we'll get our sauce put on and make our cottage cheese mixture. Now you see I'm using my wooden spoon to kind of push that sauce in on those noodles so that the sauce can get embedded into the noodles and it all be ready to cut into one nice slice when it's time to eat it. Okay, so in another mixing bowl, I have 16 ounces of cottage cheese, and this is just the small curd cottage cheese. I'll add an egg to that, and I'll season it. And we'll go ahead and get that mixed in, and mixed up, rather, so that we can add our cheese. You see, I'm putting a pinch of salt, and I've put some Italian seasoning in it as well to give it some good flavor. Now that we've gotten that all mixed well together, we're going to go ahead and add some of our mozzarella cheese that was in the other bowl, and we'll get that to be a nice thick cheese mixture, and we'll put that on top of the sauce and the noodles. Now that I have the cottage cheese mixture on top, I'm going to go ahead and just smooth it over, press it out so that it can cover the entire casserole dish. Now it's time to add the rest of my mozzarella cheese. Now we'll cover this with aluminum foil. I'll just lightly tint it because I don't want it to stick to the aluminum foil, but I do want it to bake all the way through and get well heated all the way through. Now I'm going to put this in a 350-degree oven and let it bubble and bake and get to the goodness that it's supposed to get to in about 20 minutes. It'll be a 20 to 30 minute process. Now I had to step away for a minute, but Peepaw is on the retrieval duty and he's going to pull that out for us. And you see the cheese has oozed all down on the side and into the bottom of my oven. And I have some oven liners in my oven that I will put down in the description box because these things are lifesavers. I'll be able to wipe that off and continue using those oven liners. Got them from Amazon, but I'll link them down below. So here's the finished product. It's a little blurry because you know we're still getting used to that camera. But I will put a picture of an individual slice right about here. So here is the finished product and this is one serving. I hope you enjoyed today's video.